This video blog is about the importance of fighting battles that you can win. Now, this is a sort of a truism or a maxim that's often used in kind of the areas of war and the military or combat sports, where there's a sense of encouraging you to assess, to self-assess what your chances are before you commit yourself to something that's obviously going to be a big, in a war sense, very messy situation. Now, within the job interview world, thankfully things are never quite that dangerous or messy. But I think this sort of truism of fighting battles you can win, and therefore, I guess, in brackets, trying to avoid those you can't win, is quite powerful advice. Where I'm going with this, I guess, is that most of us, well, almost all of us, when we're interviewing for jobs, will quickly ascertain how our skills and our background and our personalities, how they map across to the ideal that the company's after. Now, this might be done based on what you're reading in a job advertisement. It might be through a conversation with a recruiter. It can obviously be in a previous interview in the process that you've already had. It could just be the fact that in those early stages of the interview that you're currently at, you can ascertain what he or she is looking for. So as soon as you kind of know that, as soon as you have a sense of this is ideally what they want, you need to quickly self-assess very honestly how you compare with that. Now, clearly, if you find there's areas where you're very, very strong, you will want to try and center that interview conversation around those areas as much as you can. Now, obviously, of course, you will have to react to questions in other areas that maybe are not your preference. You can't ignore those areas, but you need to have a sense of, okay, this is a strong area for me. I want to spend as much time as I can in this area. Conversely, this one's a little bit weaker for me. I need to address that, but I don't perhaps want to spend 30 minutes having a conversation in this sector if I can avoid it. So be very alive to the realities. Be very honest with yourself. That's often the hardest thing to do at times, of course, is to acknowledge where we are weak or where we do lack something. So focus on where you're strong. Think about how you can best exemplify that strength and keep coming back to it. Don't be afraid to revisit areas where you know you're good. If you know you're not so good over here, you need some good stuff to outweigh the bad stuff, so to speak. So think about where you can talk with greater levels of confidence, where you know your scores, either literal or metaphorical, were going to be much higher. I'll give you an example. If you've got a situation where you are conscious that this company is looking for someone maybe a bit younger than you, a bit less experienced than you, that's the sort of the feeling you're getting one way or another, you can't make yourself younger or less experienced. What you can do, of course, is to try and focus on the strengths that you maybe have by virtue of your age and experience and wisdom, and give plenty of ammunition around those areas so that you can sort of tip the scales gradually in your favor. Conversely, if you are young, relatively young and inexperienced for a job, and you sense that might be holding them back from going for you, then you want to talk about the virtues of being younger and what that might bring. So you might want to construct an argument that's around your extra vibrancy, your desire to learn, your hunger to grow, your willingness to be molded and developed by someone, into a shape and an approach that they think is the right one. Again, these examples will vary for you and the circumstances of what you're going for. But have a think about those issues and be very mindful that you want to spend time, as much time as you can, in areas that are big positives for you. And you want to not outrightly avoid negative areas, because I think that's a mistake. You do have to address them, but you don't want to spend too much time in those areas. Get the proportions and the balance right. And that way, I think you can make sure that you get a chance to really highlight your strengths and to some extent, downplay and minimize where you might be weaker. Okay, it takes a bit of time and a bit of thought. And sometimes you haven't got a lot of time, you've got to think on your feet, so you have to do it fast. But certainly if you've got an advantage because you know already what they're looking for, then for goodness sake, give that plenty of thought beforehand and decide before you go in where you want to focus your energies and your discussion. Okay, good luck.